Hare Krishna. Hare Hare Krishna. I welcome each and every one of you for the Bhakti Shastri class. Thank you for coming, and this is our first class of 2017, so wish you all a very happy new year. And today is Vaikunta Ekadashi, so it makes it extra special, so thank you for joining. So today the goal will be that we'll do a few verses both from Isopanishad and from Nectar of Instruction. We'll go on a little faster pace. Bhakti Prabhu, please, my apologies that yesterday I could not reply to your text message, but you did the needful, so anyways, thank you. So we'll have a little bit of kirtan just for a few minutes and then we'll start with the class. Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Niti Namine. Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine. Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Srivasa Gaur Bhakta Vrinda. Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Srivasa Gaur Bhakta Vrinda. Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Srivasa Gaur Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada. Jaya Gurudeva, Jaya Gurudeva, Gurudeva, Jaya Gurudeva. Hare Krishna. Very well. So, before we start the class, what is the prayers? Mangalacharan prayers. So we'll start with that, and then we can get started. Om Ajnanatimirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurun Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guroho Shri Yutapadakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathanvitam Tvam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadhutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakanvitamscha He Krishna Karuna Sindho Dinabandho Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vancha Kalpatarubhayascha Kripa Sindhubhya Evacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Srivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Matsamo nasti papatma naparadhi cha kaschana parihare pilajjame kim bhruve purushottama bhumau skalita padanam bhumireva avalambanam tvai jata paradhanam tvameva sharanam prabho adadanastrinam dantair idam yache punah punah Shrimadrupa padam bhojau Dhulisyam janma janmani Rajoham syam bhave bhave. So today the first part we'll spend a little bit of time on Isopanishad, because the last class, man oh man, complete and incomplete, was not an incomplete discussion. It was an incomplete discussion. You remember that Om Purnamada Purnavadam Purnat Purnam Udachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Visishyate. And we had so much of in-depth knowledge or so much of questions, so much of... So if we read the purport, Srila Prabhupada actually mentions that whatever comes from Krishna is complete in himself. It's complete as in the material world is complete. Because oftentimes people ask, where is Creator? Who is control of this material world? Why is so many nasty and evil things that are happening? It looks as if that there is no God, there is no controller, there is no pattern to whatever is happening. But please understand that Krishna, though he is unavailable, the material nature is working under his control. Maya adhyakshena prakriti suyate sacharacharam. So similarly, all the incarnations that come from Krishna are complete. Now a question might arise here is, if Krishna has so many incarnations, why is it then there is differentiation? Because in Nectar of Devotion, if the devotees attended last class or last semester, then we discussed that Jiva had certain qualities. Demigods, Brahma had extra some qualities. Then Narayan had some extra qualities. And then Krishna has complete all qualities in 64. Yes? You remember that? So, quiz question is, what are those 4 qualities of Krishna that are extra? Vena Madhuri. Vena Madhuri is his flute, okay? Or the sweetness that emanates from his flute. Then somebody mentioned Leela Madhuri, means the sweetness of his pastimes. Rupa Madhuri. Rupa Madhuri is his exquisite beauty. And then? There is his loving devotees with whom he has intimate pastimes, his devotees. Hare Krishna. So these are all the extra qualities. So the point is, we have, if Krishna is complete, then why are the incarnations being given higher and lower grade? Why is it that some incarnations are less powerful and some incarnations are quote unquote more powerful? Isn't that whatever comes from complete is not complete because obviously you get the question? So how do we answer that? So the answer to that is the Lord is complete and His incarnations are complete, but they choose to reveal only the energy or the power needed for that specific purpose. The Lord's incarnations come for specific purposes, they have a mission, and whatever is needed for that mission they show. That's about it. Because, right? So any other points on complete and incomplete? Yes, Mataji. Yes. Correct. Yeah. Even the jivas are complete in the sense like as long as they are subordinate to Krishna, they are complete. The incompleteness is explained, is mentioned. I remember Madhav Govinda Prabhu telling it. Why is the incompleteness experienced in this material world? Please use mic. There are devotees online.
All forms of incompleteness are experienced because of our incomplete knowledge of the
Excellent. Thank you. Thank you. For all those who just joined, I wish you a very, very happy New Year, 2017. Any other points on the first invocation verse that we need to discuss? Is everybody okay? I won't quiz you now, so don't worry. This is going to be an open quiz. It's a fun quiz. There's no tension quiz. All right. Yes, Prabhu.
In Brahma Samhita, I think there is a verse which says that the candle, from one candle we can light many other candles, and still the original candle is special. So is this verse in relation to that also, or that is something different?
No, it's in relation as in that the candles that are lighted by the original candle, still if you keep the original candle in amongst or if you shuffle them, then it will be very hard to distinguish. So in that sense, the Deeparchirevahi verse in Brahma Samhita is very specific to Krishna and Vishnu incarnations. In that sense, there is no difference. But not all of his incarnations have the same level. I'll give an example. Is Brahma a Jiva or Vishnu Tattva? So, most of the times, it's a qualified yes, because Laghu Bhagavatamrita says that when the creation needs to happen and there is no Jiva that can hold the post of Brahma, the Lord Himself becomes Brahma or Shiva. So, the Gunavataras, yes, there is definitely a distinction. Maharaj Prithu was a Shaktyavesh avatar. So, he was a Jiva empowered by Krishna for a specific purpose. So, if there is a rechargeable battery that is really empowered or charged by a powerhouse, that's something similar to Shaktyavesh avatars who are empowered by Krishna, but they are no less than Krishna for that purpose, for that specific purpose. They are equally competent. Because the sages, Maharaj Prithu, when he was worshipped as an incarnation of personality of God. He didn't say, you are a Jiva, the Buttar. They were really like glorifying as if he is none other than Vishnu himself. So, while the candle verse is very specific to Vishnu Tattvas, but that does really add also. Have I confused even more? No, please, if it is a confusion, we dig on to that point till we kind of, everybody agrees or we get more references. So, you have more question on that?
No, bro, I'm fine with it, the explanation. I have a follow-up question. That is different from this one. How to understand that something, like even after taking out something from something, the original thing is still the same. It's
right. Right.
How to comprehend it?
Because Krishna is unlimited. When you talk of unlimited, which means there is no beginning, there is no end. So when you talk of taking something out of something, which means there is some finite something and you have taken out and it is reduced by a finite amount. But Krishna is infinite. So if you take infinite out of infinite, it still remains infinite.
My question is, Prabhu, actually it seems like more we have to digest it in terms of faith, then, because I don't see how to realize it in material world. I don't see any example to, like in general when there is some lecture, there is some example which we can relate to. For example, to give an idea of Krishna's love for us, they give an example of mother's love for the child. That's perverted, but it's an example in the material world. But I don't see a similar analogy anywhere in the material world for this. So
Okay.
That's a question.
Okay, you had a point, follow-up point, or?
Hare Krishna, I wanted to answer and basically try to answer Prabhu's question, analogy with material world. So we have this basics, the equation of science, matter is constant basically. You can always convert the matter. So no matter what you convert from anything, metal or earth coming out of this earth, right? Everything is constant. The entire weight is constant. Entire matter is constant. So no matter whatever you take it out of it, it still remains the constant. So basically that is an example we can use to draw an analogy between the infinity and the constant or consistence of this matter.
Okay, thank you. But having said that, please understand that on the spiritual aspect, when we try to correlate everything with the material thing, the acharyas say we give that as an example to understand Krishna. I'll give another example. So Krishna, what is the color of Krishna? Monsoon cloud. Is exactly the monsoon, but monsoon cloud itself has many colors, right? A dark monsoon cloud. Is that similar to Krishna? So if you have seen dark monsoon cloud, then have you seen Krishna in terms of his color? The idea is because something which is very transcendental has to be converted to material. For those who are in the software field, the high level code has to be converted to the assembly language in a very gross level to make it understand. Yes or yes? So similarly, we use material analogies to describe something which is beyond matter. So your example also is not perfect because you are saying you are trying to put infinity into something which is matter. Did you get my point? So we can only say it to give an effect. Yes, we use this example. Mother's love is also, as you said, it's an example that is used to describe Krishna's love. Unconditional. But it is not actually that love. Unless one experiences that love, one cannot tell. That's why Srila Prabhupada writes in Nectar of Devotion that love of Krishna is a very deep science topic. There is no example or comparison to the material world. But as far as possible, we'll try to explain. In fact, the Nectar of Devotion, the translation for the terms, some of the terms, there are no English equivalents. So really high. In Sanskrit, at least you can write something. English, no. For example, what is rasa? We talked about it at length. So it is converted to mellow. My spiritual master converted it to mellow. I say it mellow. But what is mellow? Is it yellow or jello? You don't know. So we use material analogies to describe something which is beyond matter. And as you advance in spiritual life, it's a guaranteed fact that you will understand by grace of Krishna. That's why it is said, Nayam Atma Pravachanena Labhyo. He says, not by philosophical speculation, nor by reading many books, nor by attending many lectures, but only to Krishna, only to him who Krishna reveals this truth can one completely understand. Arjuna was in the same dilemma, but when Krishna spoke Bhagavad Gita, his heart illuminated from within. Tesham satata yuktanam Pajatam priti purvakam dadami buddhi yogam tum yenamam upayanti. Krishna says that for those who are devoted me, I give them the enlightenment from within. Then it'll be completely clear. But having said that, we don't wait for Krishna. Okay, today Krishna didn't reveal anything, it's okay, I'll continue with my work. No, we do our sadhana to please Krishna and eventually it will. Does that make sense? So we'll stop the questions here, because otherwise we'll end up 2 hours not even making an inch of progress. So please hold on to your questions. I'll come back and ask questions. Fair? Everybody good? Yes, Ji, good? Okay. You ask a question, I remember, we'll answer it. Let's go to mantra 1. We can start the translation from the back. So Neelam, please be ready to read the translation. But let's do the mantra. Kindly repeat after me. Ishavasyam idam sarvam yat kincha jagatyam jagat tena tyaktena bhunjita magridahas kasya svidhanam.
Translation. Everything animate or inanimate that is within the universe is controlled and owned by the Lord. One should therefore accept only those things necessary for himself, which are set aside as his quota, and one should not accept other things, knowing well to whom they belong.
Thank you. So, in the purport, Srila Prabhupada discusses first of all what are Vedas. What is Vedas? And what is Vedic knowledge, and what are the 4 defects of a conditioned soul? It's there, you can look up. Cheating, committing mistakes or cheating. Illusion, what do you mean illusion? Tendency to be illusioned, okay, and imperfect senses. Are Vedas like that? Then if Vedas are not like that, then Vedas must be written somebody who is above the conditioned state. Yes or yes? So which means the Vedas are emanating from the word of or mouth of Lord Vishnu. It is mentioned in the Bhagavad Gita in the 3rd chapter. So Srila Prabhupada explains a little bit about the Vedic source and the Vedic knowledge, but he goes at length to describe that the human beings have a higher intelligence than animals. And we at least have that cognizance that what is ours we should accept and what is not ours we should leave it. In the modern time, is that the correct attitude? Do you see any examples where it's not happening? Tell some examples where people try to get everything they can, even if it is theirs or it is not theirs. Any examples you can think of? Demonetize. Tell about demonetization, Sri Antariksha Prabhu. What do you mean by that? I don't understand. Oh, prior to demonetization. Okay, now I get that. Any other example? Somebody raised an example. Yes.
Prabhu, we see all corporations, they just try to expand. They are so obsessed about expanding. So
Right.
it's against this mantra.
Thank you. Ishavasyam idam sarvam. So the question comes is, but how to know what is mine? If God has allocated everything to everybody, what is mine? Hare Krishna. Or conversely, I'll take a perverted way of looking at it. Everything belongs to God, right? Ishavasyam idam sarvam. So that means if I take, I'm just taking from God. So why are people getting mad at me when I take their stuff? How do you know that what is yours? Yes.
That is mine which is needed to survive. Everything else is not mine.
Well, here is the question. A boy was put into jail because he robbed a loaf of bread because he was hungry. So, is that the right thing to do or wrong thing to do? I mean, just think about it. Right? So, but then explain more.
I'm 6 feet tall, so I just need a queen size bed to sleep. and maybe 4 rotis to eat, that's all. And maybe a little bit extra for some time for entertainment, that's all. But if I tend to get a big house and $3 million or something in Los Gatos, and well, I'm happy staying in my $1,800 rent apartment, so my life is running, right? But if I'm trying to endeavor more and more and try to get a 6 rooms house in which I cannot maintain, and which is not even helpful for me in Krishna consciousness or in any way, basically, I'm spending more time in cleaning that apartment. So basically, it's not for me, right? So whatever I need, which I need is basically is need versus want. That's all.
Thank you. You had a point.
In Bhagavatam, there is a verse when what is that verse? Putraka yin, something like that. Where when King Lord Rishabh is explaining to his sons, so that human life is meant for austerities. So whatever is required to purify our senses is our need. Whatever beyond that is not. I think that is a definition how we can see.
Yeah. So the question is that destiny awards everything to everybody. We have certain of our quota that comes. When people work, they get certain things from their quota. And in the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says 4:22, which is yadrichaya labha santushto. He says whatever gain, he who is satisfied of gain that comes of its own accord. He is the person who is not bound. So people might ask, then if I work hard and more hard and people are making money, right? So if you see, actually people are making a lot of money by working really hard and giving up other things. Isn't that some kind of contradictory? Because what I earn or what I enjoy depends on my own effort. But the answer to that is, even if you put in the effort, unless God sanctions it, you won't get the fruits. How many startups started with a view that in 2 years we'll go bankrupt? Or in 1 year we'll burn through all the 100 million cash we got from VCs. Everybody wants to be the next Oracle, next Microsoft, next Google, Facebook, whatever. You can keep on naming the companies. But how many startups actually are successful? Because Krishna has to agree to you becoming rich. So, but the problem is this: when you endeavor like that, working really hard for something, Krishna says you are binding more and more to the reactions of karma. You may or you may not get the fruit, but you are binding more and more to the reactions of material nature. So, at least this verse says that just accept what is already destined for you, which is another good point though, right? This verse gives you comfort and relief. Yes, there is something in my destiny. I don't have to think, oh, what happens to me? Food, maintenance. Krishna says I have taken care of it. Because Ishavasyam idam sarvam, it means that I am getting. Krishna is feeding. Try to understand this simple truth. Do the squirrels have GPS? Do they have food sensors packed into that? Somehow they go here and there and they get. Morning I was somewhere somewhere at a store and the rain was falling. It was profusely falling. And there were birds, small birds, because there is that awning which covers the store. And the birds, they were just peeking out, trying to grab some stuff and get back inside. Just they were just, as the rain fell or slopped, they just went inside, grabbed their food and came back. Because if they went out, then they get soaked, right? They get soaked, they can't go out. But Krishna is still providing the food even though they can't go out, because the food is coming at their doorstep. Because I was looking at these birds and how Krishna is providing, even though there is rain. So Ishavasyam spirit is that particular thing. And let's go a little bit more into the purports. I think the last paragraph on page 22, that kind of sums up everything. Srila Prabhupada writes that, who's next in line? Vamshi Mohan Prabhu, you want to read? Yeah, Natwarji had a question. You can.
So Prabhu, how do you limit the action you need to perform? Like overwork, or you don't work at all actually? If you don't work, if you're going to get food, you will get it, right? You can have that attitude, or you keep doing work thinking that, okay, unless I work, I'm not going to get fruit. So you just keep doing it. So how do you balance it out actually?
Do we have a choice if we can work or not work, or act or not act in this material world? Most of the people are nodding their head, which means that we have to work. So can we say that I don't want to go to work, or I don't want to work? Because Krishna says in the Gita, everybody is helplessly forced to work. Even if you so-called are in inaction, you are still thinking, you are still feeling. From a practicing devotee perspective, we work so that our sadhana is not affected. It's not, we get so madly absorbed in the work that we are doing that they think that is all in all. Because that's the danger. And if you read this particular last chapter, then we'll come to that point. So, Vamsi Mohan Prabhu, if you add, then we'll shed a little bit more light on the question you asked here.
The root of sin, that paragraph, Prabhu.
Yes, Prabhu.
The root of sin is deliberate disobedience of the laws of nature through disregarding the proprietorship of the Lord. Disobeying the laws of nature or the order of the Lord brings ruin to a human being. Conversely, one who is sober, who knows the laws of nature, and who is not influenced by unnecessary attachment or aversion is sure to be recognized by the Lord, and thus become eligible to go back to Godhead, back to eternal home.
So the word there is attachment or aversion. You neither hate nor love. No? Not convinced? Go ahead.
So Prabhu, sometimes you have an option, right, where you can work hard or more than you require actually, and sometimes it is must actually, right? So how do we, and then we are saying that, okay, fruit is not, you will get it if you deserve, or, destiny has already set something for you. So how do you limit yourself actually, okay?
How do we limit? Depends on few things. Krishna or Srila Prabhupada writes in the Bhagavad Gita that the present occupation that you are involved in is given by Krishna. When we read Bhagavad Gita, the third semester, we'll come to that particular point. It's an important point. So when you are in a job, then you do the best you can. And if the job entails a lot of hard work, then so be it, because that is what the job entails. To the point that at least it shouldn't spoil your health, your sadhana, your family life, so on and so forth. There should be reasonable limits. But in Silicon Valley, everybody is forced to work really hard. At least most of the cases. There are always exceptions to the rule. And if you are in the software, especially particularly. So there are few choices that you can work with your counselors, whomever you trust. Like, should I just continue working like this and, at the risk of my sadhana or risk of my health, or should I quit it and then join some other place, even though if it's less money, but it's more predictable hours. So there are always the choices that you can think about. The destiny thrusts whatever it has to upon you, but you have the choice to respond. You don't have to take whatever it comes. The idea, please understand, destiny means I avoid bad things, I only want good things. That is destiny. It doesn't work that way. When you try to push out stuff beyond your control, saying that that should not happen, but destiny means that that's going to happen. But how you respond to certain things, what's your attitude, that's yours. That Krishna doesn't say you should respond like this. But if you have knowledge, if you read Srila Prabhupada's books, usually the decision you make is more practical and more grounded in spiritual life. People, if they work hard with no reason, this is too much of hard work, and then they quit because they are out of frustration or out of bodily discomforts, whatever. But the fact is that they like such work, and Krishna put them in that work, and eventually they quit, and then they go back again doing the same work because there is no spiritual basis on your decision. There is no higher purpose on why you are trying to do what you are trying to do. Does that make sense? So balance comes on many factors. There is no one answer to that. Some people actually really enjoy working hard. Some people like to work under pressure. Rare, but it's a fact. They need some pressure to work. Having just completed our Bhakti Vaibhava exam, and there are some situations like that where devotees said that it was a lot of work, but at least they were able to study Bhagavatam because they had certain pressure, and they later said it was really nice. So if your nature is to actually need pressure to work and enjoy pressure, then it may not be hard work from others' perspective. So it's a very nuanced question with multiple answers based on individual situation. I'm not escaping, but that is the truth. If you want to have one-on-one, then we can get more details. Fair? Yeah. But having said that, every devotee must, it's a good point you brought up though, every devotee must introspect to see, is my lifestyle, is my nature conducive to devotional service? Or should I do something better to enhance? Because when we are just working to maintain this body, that's another point. People work hard just to maintain this body, and that body is going to drop sooner or later. So what did you actually get? Except for all the sadhana and the seva that you did, that is your only credit that you take back. And, oh Prabhu, I didn't have any time to do my sadhana, I didn't have any time to do my seva. Then you seriously rework to get your credits back, your property back, because that's what we can carry. So every devotee must introspect. So at least we should have a plan to say, at least I should have a plan to retire. At least, make sure that I can get serious in devotional service. Because all of us, or most of us, are grihasthas and planning to be grihasthas maybe. So our substantial amount will be spent in kids and family and house. So it's vital that we keep ourselves healthy for executing devotional service. Make sense? All right.
Prabhu, I had another question.
Yes, go ahead.
So Prabhu, we said Veda is, it does not have those 4 defects, right? So can we not say that for any other book actually? Because there is no way you can prove everything written on a particular book, so can we not say that about any other book?
We can say that about other books. All those which are based on Vedic literatures are still perfect.
And what if it's not based on Vedic literature, right?
So what is it based on then? It has to be based on something.
I mean, any book, right? I mean, maybe written like 200 years back, and we don't know because the author he's not alive, right? And wrote something which we cannot prove or disprove. So how do we say that, okay, it has 4 defects actually?
Was that author conditioned? Was that author a good disciple of a bona fide disciplic succession? Those are the questions we ask. So if he's again, the idea is that the knowledge is based on Vedas. Previously, now we have Java and Perl and whatever you want to call it, so many things. But previously, all the knowledge came from Vedas. We read in the 3rd canto of Bhagavatam that Lord Brahma, when he created this material world, he created Vedas, he created Itihasas, he created so many other things. And the architecture, Ayurveda, everything was created from the Vedas, and that was just the knowledge. Because it was infallible and perfect, people would accept it. Now, if you go, the saying that why do we disagree with a person who's written something, would you go to a doctor who's not trained in medicine? You need some proof that that person is trained in medicine and is capable of taking care of my situation, whatever it may be. So similarly, this spiritual knowledge, which is so valuable in pursuing our spiritual life, we need to make sure that where it's coming from, because we are like patients, and this knowledge is like the medicine. If you don't know, then you get the point. So yeah. But having said that, self-help books occasionally can be used by the devotees, and devotees can read. But to take some book as the Veda, as the book, that's a problem. And disregarding this. Makes sense? Okay. Ashok, you had a question? Okay. Mantra 2. Kindly repeat after me. Kurvaneveha karmani jiji vichechatam samaha evam tvai nanyate tosti na karma lipyate nare.
One may aspire to live for hundreds of years if he continuously goes on working in that way. For that sort of work will not bind him to the law of karma. There is no alternative to this way for men.
So, in that way, what does in that way mean? In which way? Ishavasyam, thank you. So it's a linkage. The second verse links to the first. The first one gives a philosophy, Ishavasyam idam sarvam. The second verse gives what is the benefit that if you follow that. What is the benefit? No bondage. Which means that every act we do in the material world has its reaction. It's good, you get good reaction. It's bad, you get the bad reaction. But our goal is not to get good or bad reactions. Someone might say, what are you talking? Good reactions are good. Everybody is enjoying life. Well, what's wrong with that kind of statement? Achyuta Chaitanya Prabhu raised his hand, so please give him the mic.
It's not lasting.
It's not lasting. The other thing is you have to come back to this material world to get that. Okay, thank you. Srila Prabhupada actually writes, it starts off with the purport with karma bandhana. What is karma bandhana? And one of the very, very interesting point. This point kind of, sometimes you get this question. If devotional service is great, it's all pure, it's instant happiness that you get, then why am I not getting happiness in chanting? Why is it that it's so much of work in devotional service? Reading, as soon as I open each Upanishad, I feel like falling asleep. Why? The beauty is that Srila Prabhupada writes on page 25. So if you, for those on the computer, please search for factually. If you go and factually. Factually. Yes. So next person can please read that particular paragraph.
Factually, no one has to do anything more than the render devotional service to the Lord. However, in the lower stages of life, one cannot immediately adopt the activities of devotional service, nor can one completely stop fruitive work. A conditioned soul is accustomed to working for sense gratification, for his own selfish interest, immediate or extended. An ordinary man works for his own sense enjoyment, and when this principle of sense enjoyment is extended to include his society, nation, or humanity in general, it assumes various attractive names such as altruism, socialism, communalism, and humanitarianism. These isms are certainly very attractive forms of karma bandhan, karmic bondage, but the Vedic instruction of Sri Ishopanishad is that if one actually wants to live for any of the above isms, he should make them God-centered. There is no harm in becoming a family man or an altruist or a socialist or a communalist, a nationalist or a humanitarian, provided that one executes his activities in the relation with Ishavasya, the God-centered conception.
Right? So, because we have been used to this material world for so long, the acts of devotion seems little alien. It's too much. What is this Hare Krishna? The people keep repeating the same thing again and again and again, as if they have nothing else to learn, nothing new, nothing challenging. So the idea is that the name of Krishna is so intensely sweet that the soul is just enraptured by that name. But to come to that point, we kind of need to have certain practices, and that's what is called sadhana bhakti. But once we come to that point, then remembering Krishna, that's enough. You don't need to do anything. Anybody remembers the verse where Krishna says you don't need to do anything? And someone might say, if I always think of Krishna and remember Krishna, then what about my maintenance? Ananya? Excellent, thank you. So that's what Prabhupada starts off this premise, that factually no one has to do anything else except perform devotional service. But we are not yet there. So we take our time in terms of whatever we need to, because immediately we cannot do it. So, but that doesn't mean, it's the efforts lack either. So we should do our best. Sri Antariksha Prabhu.
Hare Krishna. So, Prabhupada mentions there is no harm in becoming a family man or an altruist, socialist, communist, nationalist, or humanitarian, provided that one executes his activities in relation to the Isavasya. So, how can a communist execute his activities in relation to Isavasya? Could you shed some light? How is it possible? Because communism basically means take from someone and then. Take from the state. Yeah.
No, so communism doesn't mean take from the state, but the communism is that nobody owns anything. Everything belongs to the state. Everything belongs to the country. It's nationalized. Your house, you can never call it yours. It belongs to the motherland, but motherland can take it away anytime. So you are just kind of living there. And
so that is kind of contradictory, because Isa Vashyam Idam Sarvam. So what it comes up with your own accord. So okay, if you got your house out of your own accord, and the state says, okay, it doesn't belong to you anymore, it belongs to us.
Yes.
So how is it now? There's a contradiction there.
Thank you very much. Okay, please turn to page 20. 20. And that would be mantra 1. For those online, it's mantra 1. And let me read that paragraph. In the modern society, everybody. Okay, thank you. In the modern society, there is always a great quarrel between the laborers and the capitalists. This quarrel has taken an international shape and the world is in danger. Men face one another in enmity and snarl just like cats and dogs. Sri Ishopanishad cannot give advice to the cats and dogs, but it can deliver the message of God to the man through the bona fide acharyas, the holy teachers. The human race should take the Vedic wisdom of Sri Ishopanishad and not quarrel over material possessions. One must be satisfied with whatever privileges are given to him by the mercy of the Lord. There can be no peace if the communist or capitalist or any other party claims proprietorship over the resources of nature, which are entirely the property of the Lord. The capitalist cannot curb the communist simply by political maneuvering, nor can the communist defeat the capitalist simply by fighting for stolen bread. If they do not recognize the proprietorship of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, all the property they claim to be their own is stolen. Consequently, they become liable to be punished by the laws of nature. So the problem with communism is that they think the property of the country belongs to the state or the government, but not to Krishna. In fact, communist countries, they completely banned any form of organized religion. Because it is mine. Mine as in like all of us, but it is ours. That's it. No third person can come. So that was the deficiency of communism. But here is Srila Prabhupada also writes, everything belongs to the state, right? But then there is a competition for what? For the position of president or prime minister of that communist country. Right? If that means everybody should rule everybody, right? In the communist country. The government belongs to the people, everything is one. But it's not true. So, if the communists say that everything doesn't belong to state, but belongs to Krishna, and then we use it in service of Krishna, then that is a better way, that is spiritualizing the communism. Make sense? Yeah. And I think on this, I think Srila Prabhupada also, he wrote in the Nectar of Instruction also about communists. You can look it up. Pardon? Bhagavatam introduction also it is mentioned here. So, pardon? Yes. So modern warfare is being waged by capitalism. So you can also see the communists, unfortunately the communists do not know how to solve the problem of wealth and its distribution. Because they can't keep in center Krishna. It's actually pretty challenging. We can, Vrindavan Priya Prabhu, somebody in Stanford can write the PhD. How can you actually take the property of the country and then distribute? Economic student can take PhD on this. Seriously. The property of God and how its distribution. How do you do it? I mean, I was thinking, we read in the books that everything belongs to God and everything should be used for His purpose. But on a practical level, how do we do it in modern context? It will be a pretty interesting challenge. If assume that a devotee becomes the president of US, go ahead, Vrindavan Priya Prabhu.
Yeah, I think just on top of my head, it's an interesting question for deep deliberation. But I think it can be done only if Krishna consciousness or God consciousness pervades all levels of society, starting from the head of the society. Then the state and the head and all layers below will recognize how everything belongs to God and how everything can be efficiently and appropriately distributed. So, bottom up, I think it's very difficult to do. We can limit we can do it in our realm of influence, but something that's outside our realm of influence is very difficult to control. So, it has. So somehow Krishna consciousness has to pervade all layers of society.
But that's where the challenge comes, right? There is always a class of people in the society who are against God consciousness. Every society, and it's not new. It's not something Kali Yuga thing. It's more rampant. But he says always there are two kinds of people. Krishna says those demoniac and then those who are divine. So, yeah, it's an interesting question. We should see how it works. Yes, Prabhu. And then somebody else also raised their hand. Okay.
Hare Krishna Prabhu. I think Srila Prabhupada actually in his one of the book of Illusion, he talks about the communism. So communism, one of the important thing as I am from Bengal, communism. So I understand that one of the principle is everybody should be respected equally, irrespective of his work. So if it is a doctor, engineer, professor, or a labor, they should all be treated in equally. So Srila Prabhupada says, how is it possible? Because for a doctor or engineer, okay, they will be puffed up because they have done the higher PhD and all. Obviously, they will want different respect. Okay, but when it comes to Krishna, even a preacher or a pujari or even a bathroom cleaner in the temple, for Krishna, all are equally same because if they do it with the love and so that is for in the eyes of Krishna. Krishna doesn't differentiate between a pujari, high class pujari, or a bathroom cleaner if the bhakti is there inside the devotee. So that is how Krishna consciousness can bring the better communism and the perfect communism. That's what Srila Prabhupada says in his book.
Excellent, thank you. So we shall all become Krishna communists. Does that answer your question? Who asked that? Yes, Srivasa Pandit Prabhu. Thank you. Sorry. All right. Then the other point, to answer my own question, on page 27, it's mentioned there. On last paragraph, next whoever has to read, please read the last paragraph on page 27. How one can, you're there, yes.
How one can execute God-centered activities is elaborately explained in the Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu by Srila Rupa Goswami. We have rendered this book into English as the Nectar of Devotion. We recommend this valuable book to all those who are interested in performing their activities in the spirit of Sri Ishopanishad.
Excellent, thank you. So in the Bhakti Shastri, we have Ishopanishad and we have Nectar of Instruction. And the cream of all Upanishads is which book? The essence of all the Upanishads are collected in the present. Gita Upanishad or Bhagavad Gita. So we read that, and then Srila Prabhupada writes, how do you perform those activities in spirit of God consciousness is in the... So Bhakti Shastri kind of covers more or less all of the facets. Any questions, any comments? Somebody in the back, okay, that's fine. Text 3 on page 29. Haribol, yes Prabhuji, please. Actually, please forgive me if it's, go ahead.
A quick question, why Ishopanishad out of 108 Upanishads?
Why what, Prabhu?
Why Ishopanishad?
Amongst the 108 Upanishads? Actually, Srila Prabhupada translated this Ishopanishad. After that, before he could do more translations, he was not there with us. But amongst 108 Upanishads, 10 are principal or very important Upanishads. And Madhvacharya commented on those 10 Upanishads. So there is Isha, there is Kena, Mundaka, Katha, Mandukya, Shvetashvatavatara, Shvetashvatara, and I don't remember the two others. So 10 are the... So what is it? No, not Kali Santara Upanishad. The 10 Upanishads are like principal or prime. And Srila Madhvacharya commented on those. But Ishopanishad is what Srila Prabhupada gave us, so that's what we read. I wish we had more, but it is what it is. Any other questions? Okay. Mantra 3. So, the first verse talks of Ishavasya spirit, the second verse talks of the benefits, the third verse talks of rejecting. Yeah. Kindly repeat after me. Asuryanama te loka andhena tamasa vritaha tamste pretyabhigachanti ये के चात्महनो जनाः
The killer of the soul, whoever he may be, must enter into the planets known as the worlds of the faithless, full of darkness and ignorance.
So there is an interesting phrase. Thank you, Victoria Mataji. There is an interesting phrase here, right? Killer of the soul. Can soul be killed? Then who is this killer of the soul? And how can one be a killer of something that cannot be killed? Satya Prabhu, you had something to say. I'm sorry, please use the mic.
Someone who forgets that he is a soul and acts in that manner.
A person who commits spiritual suicide. Yes, Swapnil Prabhu.
Prabhu, here the literal meaning cannot be taken because the soul cannot be killed. So it's metaphorical, that one who kills the propensity for spiritual advancement.
Thank you. Thank you. So, Srila Prabhupada actually writes that the human life, that's one of the things. I used to remember when I was going to school, get up in the morning, I was like forced to wake up, go to school, my mother would pack homework, notebook, classwork book, homework book, textbook, rough book, fair book. I used to take that big bag and then get up in the, it was probably, I don't remember, but I used to take the bicycle to go on the school, and then I would see that dog lying on the street. Her arms is sleeping. I was like, the dog is having a better existence than me. Sometimes we think like that, right? It's like, what is this human life that we are dealing with? So much of complications. You have to cook. To cook, you have to earn. Earn means then you have to have an iPhone. iPhone means then you have constant commotion. What is this existence? Better be like an animal. We get happy. But the question is, Srila Prabhupada, he punches few bubbles in that perfect scenario. That usually animals, their existence is really miserable. And you see the fear in animals. Just see any animal documentaries if you watch, you see that the amount of fear they have. The deer is drinking water, even if a squirrel runs by the deer and tries to run off. It's a constant fear, and you never know when the death is going to come. There is no guarantees of whatsoever. And you are forced to eat whatever is your food. Krishna has earmarked for all the animals their food. Animals, you won't take a menu to them because they know what they have to eat, and they can't eat what else is not there on their predestined menu. Yes or yes? Tiger, you can't take some grass, fresh grass. Neither to cow can you, horribly they feed cow all sorts of miserable stuff, and there are problems. But human beings, we have so much of intelligence. We have so much of, so many menus. Morning you get up, what to cook? You can have a whole library of cookbooks, not just one cookbook. If you add up all the cookbooks of the world, I don't know. You'll get mind-boggled, I guess. But nevertheless, you can cook. Then you can choose so many things. You have a house, you have so many facilities. Srila Prabhupada writes, why? Why human beings have been given such extraordinary facilities? Because he says that the human life is a life of responsibility, of spiritual responsibility. And if that is not done in the human form of life, then usually, that life lives in vain. Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita, 3rd chapter, Evam pravartitam chakram nanovartayati yaha aghayurindriya rama mogam partha sajivati. The verse goes The previous verses, Krishna says that there are demigods. Now we are getting rain. So he said, you worship the demigods, they will give you rain. And because of rain, the grains will come. And you will be happy, so on and so forth. But he says that those who do not follow this cycle of sacrifices set in the Vedas, but whose life is purely just for gratifying senses, no other purpose in life. What's your purpose in life? Eating. I'm a foodie. Or what is your purpose in life? Best possible sleep. I'm a sleepy. Whatever. I don't know if there is a phrase like that, but I know there is foodie. Krishna says your life is in vain. Human form. And people say that why shouldn't I eat whatever I want to eat? Krishna says, okay, eat whatever you want to eat. In the next body, I'll give you such a body that you don't have to take karma. Because animals don't take karma for what they eat. Tiger is not getting involved in karma because it is killing, because it's natural food. But human beings get involved in killing when you eat meat. Because Krishna has given that discrimination. He has given a sufficient intelligence to discriminate what is correct and what is incorrect. Unfortunately, in the modern world, it is human beings who is devastating the whole world by killing so many animals, either in form of poaching or killing so many forests, just raising them. It's Ishavasyam is kind of missing there. Makes sense? Please understand that the sages, in the previous sages, they were amazingly intelligent. We were reading Kardama Muni's story in Bhagavatam. Now Kardama was married to Devahuti. And Devahuti served Kardama faithfully. She was a king's daughter, but she served him with absolutely no regard for her personal comforts. She served him day and night. She became really emaciated. She was thin. There was hardly any food. Her hair, which was supposed to be like that, you see in the shampoo advertisement, silky hair. Her hair had tied into knots. Her face was really grimy. And she approached Kardama saying that, I want to have children. And Kardama, at that point of time, Krishna, I need to get a job. Let me scan advertisements. Where is the best employment? Because we don't have house, right? And you know what Kardama did? By his mystic vision, he created a city. That city was flying in space. It was 7 stories tall. It had pretty much everything that was needed. And they traveled to different parts of the universe on that plane. If Kardama could do that, can't they invent jeans or iPhones? Why didn't they do that? The reason being, they were very conscious of the fact that this environment is a very sacred property of Krishna, and the future generations are going to be severely impacted by our short-sighted policies. They never did that. So modern world, the problem is, I am this body, somehow this is mine, and I have to get the maximum out of it. If I can't get maximum, then I'll put a bomb and blow it up, so that others can't get it. How many times it has happened? In the Nazi regime, when they were looting everything, and then, when they realized that they were being defeated, they destroyed so many priceless artifacts and art pieces of art with the hope of covering that. If he can't get it, then nobody should get it. It's just the mentality. It's not a Ishavasyam mentality. So, the killer of the soul, they go to the darkest region. It is mentioned here. Satya had a question. No? Okay. Yes.
Prabhuji, you differentiated between the human body and the animal body by giving example that one of the factors is that animals do not get any karmic reaction. So, can you please throw more light on this? I'm just basically confused. When I see devotees talking about feeding their pets, first keeping pets, and then feeding them with prasadam, so that they're ensuring at least a human devotee life. Or devotees going to slaughterhouses and chanting and doing kirtan for the cows which are about to be slaughtered. But and of course we have some stories in the scriptures like Jada Bharat, like deer story, that gradually animals are advancing to the human and then devotee form of life. So I'm a little perplexed in this. Please help.
So I see 3-4 questions. So let's go one question at a time. Devotees and pets, that is something, a topic I would, I don't know how many people are familiar. There is a sport called cricket, and when the batsman faces a ball, and when it's going past, you just leave it. You don't want to touch it. So that is called well left. So that is what I'm going to do with the devotees and pets, because you can quickly spiral in a controversial way. One point on that though, I definitely want to add one point, that it depends on your consciousness. It depends on your level of attachment. Ideally, if you have temple at home, dogs are something which you cannot bring it at home, strictly speaking. That's just the standard. Rupa Goswami writes in Nectar of Devotion, forget the dog touching or even licking the food that is being offered to the deities, but even the dog looks at the food, then it's unofferable to the deities. So it is a personal choice. Why would you want to take a pet, and how Krishna conscious perspective you are taking that pet. It's a personal choice. Ideally, your whole cultivation should be towards Krishna, and your mind shouldn't be diverted, because quickly it can you shouldn't have pets, then what about kids? Because for many people, their pets are their kids. So it can get quickly. So it's all a matter of your own attachment to whatever it is. Shivananda Sen, who was one of the associates of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he had the responsibility of feeding a dog. And one day he couldn't find that dog, because that dog was accompanying him on their yatra. One day he couldn't find that dog, and he searched the whole town for that dog. So it doesn't mean that we don't show compassion either. But that compassion is very tempered with the fact that they are in a different species and I'm in a different species. And if my compassion becomes over-compassion and obsession, then I'll become like that. So you need to have that fine line. Makes sense? So devotees and pets, you should ask the devotees with the pets. Yeah. The other point, sometimes devotees or somebody say, I keep it for protection. Well, that's another story, but nevertheless, our protection comes from Krishna. But having said that, you do have some reasonable protection. Oh, Krishna is taking care of everything. I'll keep the door open and go to my office. Or I'll keep the car doors open. We take our reasonable precaution. But, what was your second question?
Regarding the karmic reactions for animals.
Yes.
How do they gradually get elevated?
So,
if at all they get elevated.
They get. So there is a cycle of evolution where, it's mentioned in the Bhagavatam, how the soul falls into this world, how they go through the 8,400,000 species of life. So it's an automatic promotion. You're born here, you go. It goes like that. So because they automatically go, there is no reactions.
So again, trying to play devil's advocate here, why devotees go to slaughterhouses and just chant and do kirtan for cows? Because they think that maybe cows can get elevated, or feed prasadam to the animals, because by serving prasadam to animals, you can possibly get them elevated. Like those kind of things I'm hearing. So that's what basically confusing me.
The intention may be good, but it might happen, might not happen. Depends on Krishna.
So basically, we don't have any authorization or any control over by just doing kirtan to cows, we can promote them.
No.
Thank you.
Because you don't know what the cow is. You don't know why. See, the thing is, you don't know whether that cow was a cow before in the evolutionary cycle, or a man who had eaten a cow now being slaughtered. Do we know the past? So if the cow was a man who was a butcher in his previous life, who just slaughtered cows, and now he is in the slaughterhouse ready to be slaughtered, it's just the destiny. What does it matter? So we don't know the past. So it's always a good thing to give prasadam, and they get some pious sukriti for that. But whether next life, nobody knows. Even Srila Prabhupada was asked, his disciples, they met into a car accident, and what was the destination? Srila Prabhupada said, whatever he was thinking at the time of death, that is surely is going to happen. So that's another thing is, I find that devotees say a lot of times, oh, he must have gone back to Godhead. How do you know? What was he thinking at the time of death? If you read in the Back to Godhead magazine, oh, Maharaj Bharat left his body. Oh, he's in prema, he must have gone back to Godhead. He became a deer in the next life. Yes or yes? So we don't know. So my request is, we don't make predictions just based on the stature or the position of devotee or whatever. So what at the time of death, we don't know what he was thinking or she was thinking. Makes sense? More questions? Okay, thank you. Yes, go ahead, Swapnil Prabhu.
Prabhu, I had a question regarding what you mentioned, the contrast between Kardama Muni's consciousness and the modern consciousness. In modern times, people think, if I cannot enjoy something, let me destroy it. So, Prabhu, we see this tendency even in religions. Like, for example, Islam, we have seen there is so much history how of destruction. Not to say anything bad about them, but now even recently, since they are gaining more prominence in countries like Egypt, they want to destroy even good structures like pyramids, sphinx, because it's not an Islamic construction. So what is the root cause of these tendencies which are so prominent even in religions? So
there is always an enmity against person who doesn't think like you or who doesn't have the same things. But when it comes to the religious statements like, the people who don't believe in your kind of religion can be killed because they are infidels, then that is taking your religious edicts to a whole other destructive level without proper understanding. Having said that, there are many, many scholars of that religion who are against destruction in the name of religion, whether it's any sorts of destruction. It's just the tamasic nature is to destroy. So if you are very much possessed by tamasic nature, you will destroy. Even religion can be used as an excuse and justified what you're trying to do. But having said that, there have always been such sects within every religion. Even in Christianity there were, even I'm sure in Hinduism also there were some places like that. Extreme cases. There are people who take this to another whole level. The problem that comes is because we read in the Isopanishad. On that note, we'll just go fast forward a little bit and then we'll come back. Mantra 6 on page 43. So it's a gentle indication that we'll read the other 5 mantras. We'll start from mantra 6 next time. Just kidding. So translation, he who systematically sees everything in relation to the Supreme Lord and who sees all living entities as his parts and parcels and who sees the Supreme Lord within everything never hates anything or any being. The problem with the religions is that they just have a very narrow-minded vision of stuff. They don't get the big picture. That God is mine. You are not with that God. So you are my enemy, I'm going to kill you. Well, I belong to that God too. No? So you see that linkage is not there. If everything that is there in the world, every living being has come here because of God's sanction, and everybody has a right to live, why would you kill? And would it please your God to kill like that? So if you don't have that mature understanding, then you will end up doing this stuff. Make sense? Yes. Prabhu. Mike, yes, it's got to come your way.
Do you think when Arjuna was asking Krishna what he should do on the battlefield of Kurukshetra, he was asking a similar question? That because all these people have been sanctioned by the Lord and they're here, what's the benefit in taking their life?
Arjuna was very reluctant to fight. Initially he said to Krishna that I will not fight. Because he said unnecessary destruction of this human life is something which I don't want to incur so much of sin. But Krishna said that this was my plan. This is my plan to reduce. Because he is the ultimate judge. Death and life are in his hands. If somebody is destined to die, no matter what happens, it will come. And somebody is destined to live, and you can go see the YouTube on, somebody was showing me luckiest people on the planet. And you can see that they escaped death by like 1 second. Just like a fraction. They just were crossing the road, the bus was running at full speed. They just passed that and the bus sped past them. Who decided that they would live? Or how come they happen to be the luckiest people in the world? So, but it was Krishna's plan to kill. And later he says in the 11th chapter, oh Arjuna, I already killed all these people. You are just my instrument. Yeah, exact time I killed these people, just be my instrument, do that's needful. So he is the ultimate supreme judge. So that's why Arjuna was afraid. My concern is when people of other faiths and religion, when they wantonly kill people out of hatred, are they not afraid of ramifications? Are they not afraid? Because they have been told in a very perverted way that you are doing a glorious thing by killing others, which is not sanctioned by God, nor does it please Him that you are going to go to a glorious destination. In fact, you will come back and you will be killed in the same way as you killed others. So when God decides, it is appropriate, but we cannot take that into our hands and decide, okay, God wants me to do that, so I am going to do that. No sir, He didn't say that to you. Or in other words, who should die should be a decision left to God, not to the man. Make sense? Other questions, comments? So actually, let's all do some quizzes then, because it will perk up everybody, and I'll randomly call out people. Please stay. I'm just kidding. Randomly call out people. Okay, this is a good time to kind of. All right. So what are the 6 urges that one should control in the first verse of Nectar of Instruction? Okay. What are the 6 things unfavorable to devotion? Unfavorable. Okay, what does niyamagraha means? Following the rules and regulations. Too much attachment or rejecting it completely. Who cares about all this stuff? What are the 4 types of loving exchanges between devotees? Going to the bar. Juice bar is fine. Juice bar. Or salad bar. Okay, 6 types. You can raise one hand. Yes. Okay. Go ahead, Sivantini Mataji.
Giving charity to the devotees, accepting from charity from the devotees, and then opening one's mind for the devotees, and inquiring from about the service from the devotees, and then feeding prasadam and honoring prasadam.
Thank you, Mataji. So here I have a question though. So, accepting, giving charity and then accepting charity, right? But with all due respect, ISKCON is always about giving only, no? What did ISKCON give me? Yes. Yes, thank you. So Srila Prabhupada writes in the purport that we accept charity from others and give them books and other spiritual literatures, magazines and so on and so forth.
Hare Krishna. I was thinking also ISKCON gave us the environment to grow up in a devotional service,
Nice.
which is an opportunity also, so which is I think we are
Excellent.
getting.
Thank you, Mataji. The association is important. Any questions you had on Nectar of Instructions? Yes, Sri Antariksha Prabhu. So, before we go, does anyone remember the calendar? What is the exam date? April 30th? Excellent. Thank you, Mataji. April 30th is, we have some time then. April 30th. The exam date won't change. So please, please, please come on that date, no matter what. Unless it's a serious issue, please do come, because I'm not going to do I have any makeups? There are no extensions. It will be on that date, no matter what. So please do come prepared. 2 books. Now if you start reading today, you will at least complete the books 8 times. You can do it. Trust me, it's easy. I was asking Sudeep. I'll ask him. Thank you for reminding me. I'll ask him. Yes.
So, Prabhuji, I had a question with Dadati Prati Grinati. So what exactly what should one give and one accept? For example, I'm just exaggerating. If somebody gives a BMW, suppose gives me, and then I don't have the capacity to give back in equal terms, then should giving gifts and accepting gifts be on that same level, or is there something like that, or how that should be?
In Bhagavad Gita, Srila Prabhupada writes that when you give something in charity, you don't expect anything in return. So if a person is saying that he or she is giving you a BMW with a hope that they get the BMW back, you take the keys, accept it, you give it back to them.
So it's not about...
This is mine, now it is yours, take it back, enjoy, ride it.
So it's not about charity. So basically, Dadati Pratigranti is not charity, it's about giving gifts. So there's a difference between gifts and charity. So the question was, should it be on an equal level? Because the reciprocation cannot happen if somebody gives me something which I cannot return in equal terms. That was basically the question.
That's fine. The intention was never to get back what you gave.
So again, he or she may not have that intention that, okay, I give to someone, I don't expect you give it to me, but then that devotee feels obliged, okay, I got this much and I don't have the capacity to give back, so what is going to happen?
So in a nice way you can say, I'm sorry, I cannot accept this. Thank you for this gesture, but I feel it is way too much for me and I cannot accept. Usually when it is done out of love, it is done really, you accept the sentiment behind it. If someone gives you a nice scarf, beautiful scarf, it's made of thing, then you just accept the sentiment, not that, see, what color you got, man. You should have got, at least you should have asked me before you got a scarf for me. You just accept it. Whether you use it or not, whether whatever. It's just that the thought, the gift is an act of expressing love. That's about it. We accept the sentiment behind that. Please imagine if Krishna started thinking like that. What would happen to all your offerings and all your services and all your... Because he can find faults when none exist. Seriously. So we take it in that spirit. But if it is too much and it is like extraordinarily unequal, it's always a thing to say it's way beyond my capacity to accept. Please forgive my inability. Because in the old days, you remember, if the king, he really didn't like someone, you know what they would do? They would give them gift. They will give them the gift of pure white elephant. King say, I am so pleased with you, take this elephant. And the guy would be a poor man. He will say, first of all, my house is like, 1,000 square feet. The elephant needs at least 10,000 square feet of land. And on top of it, I barely can feed myself. This elephant eats like, $100 worth of food every day. So actually the king would punish by giving this gift. And you can't simply say, I'll sell it. Because king will say, hey, how is my elephant doing? He'll be like, uh-oh. You see the problem? So unequal gifts are... Does that a little bit answer your question? Yeah. But I don't know the context, but Madhav Govind Prabhu and then Sivantini Mataji.
Prabhu, in the text too, there's one of the practice that is asked not to be done is practicing the scriptural rules and regulations only for the sake of following them. So one way of seeing that is for fruitive activities, doing it for a fruitive way. When it comes to devotional service and practicing, here also it may happen that it might be many a times in a mechanical way or just for the sake of doing.
Yes.
So what do we do, or how do we avoid it?
Sachinandan Maharaj, at least for the holy name chanting, that can get quickly mechanical, quickly fast. He says chant with feeling. Chant that as if Krishna is there with you. Yeah, he's giving me a chance to put some feeling into that. The one on the practical thing I found is that if the devotees accept too many services, way beyond what they can do it, then it can be a problem. It can get mechanical, it can get frustrating. So we can say no if you think we cannot do it. Because if you say yes to everything, and when time comes, for 10 things you said yes, you are able to do only one thing, and that too not properly. And the people who are waiting for that 9 things will really feel disappointed. Better be honest and upfront, saying that, this is what I can do, this is my situation. I have to balance things out. Otherwise it will get mechanical, it gets stressful, it gets frustrating after a time. There is no joy in service, it just becomes a deadline to meet. So one should avoid that. And if need be, take some time off. Take time to recharge batteries. It's the most valuable thing you can do. It's completely okay to do that. Because we are here for a lifetime of devotion. Not like fireworks at night on July 4th. Make sense? Alright. Any other questions, comments, concerns? Yes, Sivantini Mataji. Sorry, Mataji.
Hare Krishna. So, Prabhu, on page 50, Nectar and Instruction, it said like, Prakrita Shahajiyas generally chant the Hare Krishna Mahamantra, yet they are attached to women, money, and intoxication. Although such person may chant the holy name of the Lord, they are not yet properly purified, so we should avoid their association. So I was thinking sometime we can find some people with that quality in our family member or very close to you. So in that situation, what should you do? And I will just finish it up. And on page 54, Mahaprabhu said, Atheba jaharo mukhe eko Krishna nam, shei ta Vaishnava koriyo tahara shanman. That means whoever chanted once Krishna's name, they should be respected, or you have to pay obeisance to them. So I was feeling this is also a little contradictory. So
Okay, so and the other one is page 58. You said I didn't get the first reference.
One is
50.
50.
50. Thank you very much. Okay. So this is in context of text 5, right? So text 5, the text 5 is mainly about different types of devotees. Krishneti yasya giritam manasatriyeta. That's the particular verse for those who are online that we are talking. So if we go to that particular verse translation, let's all repeat together just so that you'll get some. Text 5, okay. Kindly repeat after me. Krishneti yasya giritam manasadriyeta. Dikshasti chet pranatabhischa bhajantamisham. Shushrusaya bhajana vijnamananyamanya. Nindadi shunya hridamipsita sangalabdhya. One should mentally honor the devotee who chants the holy name of Lord Krishna. One should offer humble obeisances to the devotee who has undergone spiritual initiation, Diksha, and is engaged in worshipping the deity. And one should associate with and faithfully serve that pure devotee who is advanced in undeviated devotional service and whose heart is completely devoid of the propensity to criticize others. So the three types of devotees are mentioned here. The preliminary or the Kanishta Bhakta is one who chants the names of Krishna. And Srila Rupa Goswami says one doesn't go and intimately associate with that person. You mentally honor that person doesn't mean you even talk. You see someone going, they are chanting, but they are uttering the name of Krishna, but they have, as you said, so many other areas of improvement in their life. So we don't even talk to them. We look at them, we mentally offer obeisances to them and walk off. So it is exactly the same, but if you have close family friends and you do that, probably they will be offended. You don't even talk. You just talk as like a regular person, I guess, with no intimate connection. So there is no contradiction. Avoid versus mentally honor is one and the same. That person might not even know that you offered mental obeisances to that person. The reason, if you are harsh to those kind of people, whatever is their little devotion, that is extinguished. So one should be a little careful on that front. So if one is judgmental or very kind of strict with that kind of person, or beat them with heavy philosophy, whatever little devotion they have to Krishna, and whatever one round, half round, or even whatever way they are chanting the names of Krishna, even that is kind of destroyed. So so it's better one kind of has some sort of consideration. It's okay. Please understand that devotional service, everybody takes their time to come to a certain level. Not everybody is like this. And unfortunately, our expectations is everybody should be like this. But and even that's not just true of people who we preach or distribute books. It can be our own children. Why is my son or daughter not a pure devotee? They are just wasting their time. Arey Baba, we don't know what their previous life was. We don't know what their tendency of devotion was. But if you force them to the extent that it becomes really displeasing and a painful experience, guaranteed that they will be averse to it. We are doing our bit to really extinguish it. So we take our time, we study our children, maybe they have their own way of approaching Krishna. That's another thing. Chanting, mala, where is your mala? Maybe they like to sing. Maybe they like to serve deities. Children, if you ask them to serve the deities, they really love to play with those toy dolls as deities, and they like to do them. So there is nothing wrong with that. In fact, in Bhagavatam, we didn't see Uddhava 24/7 chanting. It is mentioned that Uddhava would serve the deities to the extent that he forgot to eat when his mother called him. So that was his mode of service to Krishna. But having said that, we do have some standards, don't get me wrong. I'm not saying that anybody can do anything what they want. We have some standards if we get initiated. But with children, it is different. Or with people who are coming, why you guys are only chanting? Why don't you? Some intellectual might say like that. Nope, here is the Vedas. Read, enjoy. So maybe that's the way you like to do service to God. So we have that consideration. As a preachers, we have that consideration that everybody is on a different plane, different platform, and their backgrounds may be different. Their baggages may be different. Their experiences might be different. Their attachments are different. Right? So but that doesn't mean we won't intimately associate with them. That's the problem though. If you intimately associate, then your own devotion, you'll start doubting the whole thing. They are so much enjoying. They don't chant, but they are getting promotions and they are doing so many things, and look at me, I'm just like a useless fellow sitting here, I should do something. Then the seed of doubts begins, and then later just your devotion kind of gets extinguished. That you should be careful to guard against. Having a strong association of devotees in the temple. And your sadhana should be little bit on the stronger platform. Not this, we are developing there, but makes sense. Yeah. Because the last point, you are thinking, Prabhuji is all, is like a dila dala, pura diluted. Everything is diluted. But Krishna is diluted. 12th chapter, what does Krishna say? Always think of me. 8th verse, what does he say? Always think of me and fix your consciousness on me. If you cannot do that, then you are a loser. You are useless fellow. You are good for nothing. When will I teach you some akkal? He says, if you can't do that, do this. If you can't do this, do this. If you can't do this, do. It goes so much of relaxation for his devotion. If Krishna is literally requesting, not considering that either you do it, you are a good person, or you are a total idiot. He says, you can't, I understand, you are not in that position. Maybe you can try this. Maybe you can't even do that? Okay, do this. You can't even do that? Okay, do this. If Krishna can give so much of compassion, then who are we to judge who is on which platform of devotion and beat them up thinking that they are not devotees? Please don't, let's not have that kind of attitude. Then it's okay. It's okay. And the other point is this. We don't know what they do behind closed doors. There was a temple, there was a devotee in Seattle. He came once, it seems, to the temple and he took Bhagavatam. He was very, very erratic. Sometimes he used to come, he barely used to chant. And people thought he's the very, very materialistic type of person. He barely has anything with devotion. And unfortunately, this devotee died somehow. And then the devotees had to go to his house to collect belongings, whatever. He was single, whatever is the case. They had to go into this house. The notes he maintained on Bhagavatam was meticulous. The whole Bhagavatam was underlined, so much of sticky notes. Whole of Bhagavatam he read left, right and center. We don't know what he did behind closed doors. So it's better that we leave that judgment to Krishna and Guru. But having said that, if there is obvious, serious disruption, something illegal, something really completely wrong going on, one should raise voice and call the spade as spade. But give a lot of benefit of doubt before you really do that. And that's natural instinct to call a spade of spade if something is seriously wrong right away. Does that make sense? Yes. And then that would be the last, because 3 o'clock, Vaishish Prabhu is already on the premises, or? Okay, not yet? Okay. Koladvipa Prabhu, please let me know. Okay.
Prabhuji, in the purport for this same text 5, I came across a word which I've been hearing and reading for a few years, and I did some research online also, but I couldn't find the exact meaning and definition and recognition for that word. That's the Prakriti Sahajyas. And people talk about that, some people shy away from talking about that, people write about that, but they have some conditions, constraints, this is valid, what's not. So I need to understand basically what exactly this is, how to recognize that group. Is that a group like that? Those things basically.
Kuladvi Prabhu, you are there? No, it's fine. Simantini Mataji, you want to, because Bengal, it's more, so you can, if you can just shed some light. The group like that is there, right? That was his question.
Yes, mostly as I heard from Koladev about Shahajiyas, he said Shahajiya who doesn't follow the instruction of Acharyas and whimsically they like to do whatever they feel good to do, and they just made up their own rules.
Own rules.
Yeah, and it's just more like showing off than feel the devotion in your heart.
Yeah, so that's one. And one case I did read was that there was one person, one government official in Uttar Pradesh, who actually went to his office in sari. Yes, and thinking he is, so this is completely Sahajiya mentality. Oh, we find videos? Okay. Okay, one last point before we call quits, because you also, the devotees need a break. So, the Ishopanishad is completely about God as impersonal. There is nowhere it's mentioned that God is a person. That was the question which Yash had asked before the class, outside. So the answer to that is 15th. The 15th verse of Ishopanishad. If you can quickly look up, Yes, thank you. That's the one before. Yes. Kindly repeat after me. This is one of the verses for memorization, so it's good. Hiranmayena patrena satyasya pihitam mukham tattvam pushana pavrinu satya dharmaya drishyaye. O my Lord, sustainer of cliffs, your real face is covered by your dazzling effulgence. Kindly remove that covering and exhibit yourself to that pure devotee. To your pure devotee. He's there? Okay. So this is the answer. If the Lord has a face and effulgence is covering, that means he is a person. Right? So that is the answer to the question. You can read more deeper to the purport and you can get it. Huh? He's there. Okay. So Vaisheshik Prabhu is there. Next class, there could be little changes. It might not happen, but I'll let you know through WhatsApp group. So please do be on that. Otherwise, we'll meet. You want 2 hours or 3 hours? 3 hours? Man, you are. Wow. I can't take myself for more than an hour, but you're taking 3 hours. That is so much. Vancha kalpatarubhyascha kripa sindhubhyo cha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavibhyo.